my favorite new bundles in the Stampin' Up! Annual Catalog is the Quiet Meadow bundle. I love the stamps, the fonts, and the dies are unbelievable. So I've been having a lot of fun with that bundle, and I created this card for a card swap that I recently participated in with other Stampin' Up! Demonstrators using that bundle and a new stamp set called A Date to Remember, and of course some new designer series paper. So I was really pleased with how this turned out. I wanted to have that vintagey look to it, so I think I accomplished that. It didn't take long to create, so I'm going to share this with you, so if you want to, you can make this card at home too. So let's start stamping. So here's the bundle. This is the beautiful Quiet Meadow stamp set. I have used this so much since it came out in the new catalog. And then here are the dies. As you can tell, they've been very well used as well. Little bits of paper in them, but it's just the most fun. We have all these different dies for flowers and different greenery. We have some butterflies. We have a little label. We have a bigger label. I'm getting these all over the place. So I'm going to set these aside and show you how I made this card. So the cardstock I'm using is Crumb Cake and Fairy Vanilla. The crumb cake is for my card base. So I want this to open up this way. So I'm going to score it at 5.5. Spin it around and score it at cut it at 4.25. So out of my one 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock, I now have my 2 card bases. Only need one, of course. I have a piece of Fairy Vanilla cardstock, and it's 5.5 inches in length. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just tear it towards me. And that is the piece that's going to go on the front of the card. So I'm going to set that aside. Now I have a piece of designer series paper. And I also only need a tiny strip of this, with it being 5.5 inches in length. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this down at 5.5. And just like my Fairy Vanilla, I'm just going to tear this down. Whoops, it's a bit wide, that's okay. So I'm going to use this for my card, and I'm going to save this bit for other cards and projects. And I don't think I want that quite as wide down here, so I'm just going to tear it again. And when you tear it towards you, you get a nicer edge that way. All right, so now it's time to do some stamping. So I think I'm going to start with my Fairy Vanilla, and I'm going to stamp on the type script, and I'm going to use the black memento for that. Okay, so I'm just going to stamp it down, and without re-inking, I'm going to stamp again and then re-ink, just because I like the variation of the dark and the light. I'm not worrying if it's lining up perfectly. Let me zoom in for you guys. I absolutely love this stamp, and I don't want to re-ink it again. Get some lighter shades in there, and then a little bit down here. Okay, so that's what I have so far. I'm going to come back to that. I'm going to slide this one over, and now I'm going to stamp background onto this paper. I'm going to start by stamping with this flower, and I'm going to use Crumb Cake for this. And this is just kind of making a type of collage. Now I'm bringing in the bigger flowers. I'm just going to stamp them on here and there. It's all right if they overlap a little bit, because there's going to be all kinds of stamping going on top of these images. And then we've got some cute little flowers. Going to use those too. I'm going to put one there. I'm going to put the other one right below it. Stamp 2 at a time, because I'm wild and crazy like that. There. Then we've got some fun splatters. You have to use splatters. Love the splatters. I'm just going to stamp those randomly on top. And do the same thing over here. Up. Here we go. Now I'm going to take my pale papaya and my blending brush. Pick up some of that ink, and I'm just going to go around the edges, and where it's been torn, it's really going to pick up that ink and look super cool. Okay, and do the same thing on this one. Days to Remember stamp set is really cool. Stampin' Up! Did a really great job with this. We are going to be able to use this on all our scrapbooking projects, for special anniversaries or birthdays. Of course, you can, put August 14th, which I don't know, someone has a birthday on that day, but it's just nice because you're going to be able to personalize things that much more. Wedding dates, engagements, all of that. So what I'm going to do though is I'm just going to I'll show you how this works. This is all one big stamp. Okay, so this is the image. I am just going to ink up this portion right here. So the 1 to 31. And I don't even think that's all gonna fit on my paper, because I did tear this kind of narrow. So go over here. I'm using my black memento for this. And see, this is gonna go off the page. And I'm cool with that. Because then it's gonna look like a piece of calendar has been torn. And if you like mixed media like I do, that's perfect. I'm gonna use, what have we got here? Let's use April. I'm also going to stamp that with my black. Stamp right above it. And then we have all different little images on here, plus the Friday, Mondays, Thursdays. Oh, this is such a great set. I'm going to use this one though, the little circle. And I'm just going to circle April 9th. Now I'm going to glue this to my card. Okay, so I'm going to put that right about here. Just going to overlap it a little bit. Okay. So now I'm going to do my die cutting. First I'm going to pop out these little bits that were from my previous cards. So I'm going to cut a label, and let me see, maybe I'll do a different flower on this one than I did on my original. So these little tiny pieces, there's 3 of them in the dies. These are actually for the center of this flower. I mean, we can use them for all kinds of things. So I am going to cut crumb cake cardstock with these 2 dies. And then I'm going to cut these 3 out of basic white, and I will be right back. Okay, so I have run these through my die cutting machine. I'm just going to pop these out. I will come back to the crumb cake bits. Now these ones, the white I'm going to leave white. I'm going to leave that one white, but these 2, I want to add color to them. So I'm going to use my pale papaya and my polished pink. I'm going to start with my pale papaya, and I'm going to go over this whole flower I'm gonna bring in a piece of black cardstock. Be easier for you to see what I'm doing. Okay. Oh, we got a little flower here. Actually, I'm going to do that one just in the pink. So I'm going to bring my other blending brush in, which you can tell I've been using in the same color. And I'm going to do this whole flower in the pink. But then I'm also going to add a little bit right around the edge of this flower. A little bit on the tip of this little baby one here. And look how pretty that is. Now I need to add some green. So sticking with my in colors, I'm going to use Soft Succulent and Evening Evergreen. I'm going to start with the lightest first. And I'm just going to go right up the stem. And I'm not concerned about getting a little bit of green on the bottoms of the flower. That's just fine. Okay. Now I'm going to go in with the Evening Evergreen. And I'm just going to add a little bit of the darker shade here and there. And a little bit up here too, just to give it a bit of contrast. Now it's time to glue these to the card. I'm going to keep this black cardstock here and make it easy for you guys to see what I'm doing. So I'm going to take my glue. See how fast this card comes together? Really, it doesn't take long to make. So I made 21 of these, I do believe, for the swap that I did. And I had such a fun time making these cards. I'm just going to stick that here. I'm going to put a little bit of glue here. A little dab will do ya, you don't need much. I'm going to overlap that. And then this one. I think for this one I'm going to add a dimensional behind the flower. And then just glue behind the rest. Okay. And I want this to go over into that crumb cake a little bit. Push that down. I'm going to stamp my sentiment. So for this card, I'm going to use the You're Too Kind sentiment. On the first one, I used Thinking of You. And this I'm also going to put on with Stampin' Dimensionals. Right on top. And I'm centering this on the card. Now I don't want to hide that April though, so I'm going to put up a little bit higher. And I know that's going to hide some of that greenery, but that's okay. And remember this tiny little guy? He's going to go on that flower. Just like so. And of course, I could stamp the inside of my card too, but I tend to leave the stamping until I'm ready to personalize my cards because I don't know who the card is for, and this way I can really personalize my cards. So that is all there is to it. Let me show you the original. Oh no, that's not all there is to it, guys. I forgot my pearls. And see, this one's run off a little bit, so let's put that on. Forgot my pearls. Pearls, pearls, pearls. I'm going to take my dark Pale Papaya Stampin' Blend marker and color in 3 of these. them in the center of the flowers. Now it's done. And I think it's so pretty, and I love the colors, and I love how that designer series paper has that red in it, because that kind of, even though this isn't red, it really does tie it all together. So this is, again, the designer series paper that I use. We also have a pattern in this kit that has blue instead of the pink, and that would look pretty too. But I just find, like you can see too, like it's different. Every card is different. This one doesn't have as much. This one doesn't have as much of the of that color. So every card's going to be a little bit different, and I absolutely love this. So the Quiet Meadow stamp set and the Days to Remember stamp set are definitely going to be very well used stamp sets in my collection. If you're a scrapbooker like I am, and I promise I will start sharing more of my scrapbooking on this channel. I rarely ever do that. I don't remember the last time I did, but I will start doing that. But if you're a scrapbooker, this is going to be great. And if you're not a scrapbooker, again, this will be a perfect stamp set for really personalizing your special cards. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. Please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and the little bell next to it so you're notified every time I upload a new video. And if you hit the thumbs up, I'd be most grateful. Have a great day, take care, and happy stamping.